In this episode of The Great American Cruising, I found a gorgeous 64 Corvair that has been lovingly restored to be a quintessential driver's car. I'm Scott Hudeman, and I'm fascinated with classic cars. That's why I travel from car shows to cruise-ins to meet owners and learn about their passion for classic cars and the stories behind their amazing restorations. So join me as I take this special opportunity to meet up with the owner and learn more about this incredible 1964 Chevrolet Corvair. What began as a high school class project soon became a project driven by vision and passion. A project to restore a 1964 Chevrolet Corvair Monza. I caught up with owner and builder Alex Sopek, who gave me the inside story about the history of this build and why this car is more than just an ordinary Corvair.
How did you acquire this car? What's the history of that acquiring?
The history of the car goes back to 2002 when my son was in high school. So he comes home one day and he says, I have to do a project in order to graduate high school. I have to do some sort of project, and I'd like to restore a car. And I thought to myself, well, this might be a way to get him interested in auto mechanics. So I started looking on eBay, which was a new thing in 2002, and trying to find a Corvair. So I found one in Fort Lauderdale. We were living in Downingtown, Pennsylvania at the time. But I didn't want to pay the guy the $2,500 that he wanted for it. So the auction ended. I sent him an email and offered him $2,000 on a cash deal. So he took it. So I bought the thing basically sight unseen, knowing that I was going to restore it. So there my son and I started to restore the car. At the time it was white, had a red interior, began its life as a car that was black in color. Unknown mileage, but a project that we thought we'd have some fun with, and we did. So we took it apart. We did most of the body work on the car, did some engine work. We had a local mechanic do some front-end work that was beyond our capability because it required some welding. And lo and behold, we sent the car over to the local Mako guy. He painted the car, and it turned out really nice. So that began the life of the car. And oh, by the way, my son quit on the project long before it was done. He got his grade, which is all he really cared about, so the car was left to Dad. And we had a good time with it, drove it around the hills and valleys of Pennsylvania until I blew the engine on the Pennsylvania Turnpike one Memorial Day weekend. Actually, that was in 2004. So at that point, we either had a blue bathtub that sat in the garage, or we decided to put a new engine in it, and we did, and away we went. It's a funny thing that for this car, and that's one of the things I researched, there's a couple of places that specialize in parts for Corvairs. There's a man up in Shelburne Falls, Massachusetts, Clark's Corvair, that basically is every part known to man for the car. You can get an interior, which we bought from him. You can get fenders, which we bought from him. You can get doors. We didn't need to buy those. You can get steering wheels, just about any mechanical part. Many of the parts that Mardinley used to build the engine, when I blew the engine, came from Clark's Corvair. So there was a lot of modifications. We had a lot of fun with it. Now, about 2014, it was Wawa's 50th anniversary, and we were going to use the car in Philadelphia for photo shoots at our first store that we opened with our chairman and our president. So I had the car repainted professionally here in Tampa by a shop, KMA Customs, over on Adamo Drive in Tampa. He did a terrific job.
Tell me about the transmission that came with this car originally, and do you have the same transmission?
It's not the same transmission that came with the car. It's a 2-speed automatic transmission. It's really a transaxle because the drive wheels are in the back and the engine is in the back. There's no traditional transmission tunnel or transmission under the center of the car. There's no power steering, there's no power brakes. This is what it was in 1964.
Anything else about the engine that's of particular interest?
It's 3 cylinders on one side, 3 cylinders on another side. It has a air-cooled engine and a fan in the middle, no radiator. The brake system was a single-cylinder brake system. What does that mean? Master cylinder, there's only one. So I had that put into the car because I really wanted it to stop when I wanted to stop. When I had the brakes modified, they had to cut a hole in the firewall in order to bring the new brake line in. So there's no piece made for that, so I just took a piece of rubber and modified it basically to keep the rain out of the trunk if I'm ever out in a wet surface.
And there are a couple features on this car that you don't see in cars today. One is certainly that second crank down there that makes the window go up and down. Mm-hmm. That is definitely unique.
Yeah. Wow.
But also the side vent window.
Well, it is a vent window, and that's because most people in the 1960s were smokers. So the idea is that the window would go out and people can poke their cigarette out of it. That's just what they did. The other thing is the brake. There is a hand brake here, and that's how you pull it up to basically park the car. In the 1960s, when Chevy GM had these 2-speed transmissions, and there's no park in it, so you always have to put the emergency brake on, otherwise the thing will roll. So there's a lot of built-in safety features that are important today and didn't exist in the 1960s. The same thing with the vinyl interior. The seats were restored. The original color of the car was red. Now we bought the seat covers, the whole package from Clark's, and we found a guy who was an upholstery guy. I took the seats out, and lo and behold, he was able to reupholster them there. So the bumpers are restoration bumpers, believe it or not. They are very easy to find. They're available on eBay. They're available from Clark's. These are Clark's bumpers. All these emblems were an eBay purchase, and that was part of the fun of doing this car. It was a treasure hunt of epic proportions to find the pieces.
I like that. That's a good description of what car restoration is. It is a treasure hunt.
This cover came from Clark's. Now, we had the convertible top redone by a shop in Tampa.
And if you're going to go cruising, what better car to go cruising in?
Well, that's what it's about. It's about cruising down the road. It's about having a good time with the car. It's about me and my wife going to get ice cream on a Saturday night, and just, we sit there in the parking lot and 92 people come up to us and say, gee, that's a great looking car. My grandmother, my uncle, my aunt had one of those. My first date was in that car. Yeah. So that's the fun of this car, and it's waving to the other guys who have maybe a car that's nicer than mine, or maybe one that somebody's just starting to work on.
Any last words you'd like to share about this car and your journey that you've had with it?
Well, it's been fun. I've had people ask me many, many times, oh, will you sell it? How much do you want for it? I want to buy it. Well, I didn't do it to sell it. I didn't do it to make a profit. I did it because my son and I had something to share. And after that, it was something that I just liked. I just enjoyed taking it out and driving it around. And I would tell people that want to restore an old car, that's the real deal. That's what it's all about. It's the ability to get in it, take it out, have a good time. It's a lot of fun from that perspective. And, we live in Florida where the weather is good most times of the year. That's a lot of fun to get out and just drive it around on a sunny morning.
From class project to personal challenge, the story of this Corvair restoration shows that it takes more than just desire alone to complete the restoration of a classic car. It takes vision and dedication and a treasure hunter's mentality to bring together the many resources needed to complete the build. If you enjoyed this show, and I hope you did, I don't want you to miss the next new episode. So click on the subscribe button in the description below, and I'll send you an email with a link to each new show as it's posted. It's the easiest and best way to hear the stories behind these amazing classic car restorations. You can also check out this car and more on our YouTube channel and on our Instagram page, where we post the best of the best from car shows and cruise-ins. Just follow the links to these channels on our website at greatamericancruisein.com. And if you have a car that you want to show off, send us an email with pictures and all the details so that we can show it off on our website. See the footer section of our homepage for more information. I want to thank you for spending your time with me, and I look forward to sharing another amazing classic car story on the Great American Cruise In.